Fletcher has played the role of Dr. Karl Kennedy in Australian soap Neighbours since 1994. He's the third longest serving actor in an Australian soap. He also previously appeared in Neighbours as Greg Cooper, a dishonest boxer working in Jim Robinson's garage back in 1987. His on-screen wife is Susan, played by Jackie Woodburn, who he previously worked with in the Australian police drama Cop Shop, which was his first major TV role back in 1982. He also has a keen interest in photography, in which he developed a successful business in the 1990s, and in music, and has toured both with his band and solo, and this year is releasing a Christmas single. But it's for Neighbours that he's best known, and next year will celebrate 30 years in the Australian soap that just refuses to die. It's been brought back after being axed twice. It's Alan Fletcher on The Sound of Sunday.
Neil, how wonderful to talk to you, and how wonderful to talk to everybody at AHRB.
It's nice for you to join us. Thanks for joining us. So, Neighbours, 30 years in Neighbours next year.
Yes, I cannot believe it. It's all happened in the blink of an eye. I'm going to be honest with you. We're on one-year contracts down there at Neighbours, so that's 31-year contracts, Neil. You just sit there and say, well, I'm a rooster one day and a feather duster the next. I don't know if I'm going to have a job next year. And sometimes someone comes up to you and says, would you like to continue on? You go, oh, yes, that'll be nice. And you do that 30 times.
I'm sure there'd be a public outcry if they wanted to axe you, though, wouldn't there?
I don't know. But, the thing about a show like Neighbours, of course, it's a big ensemble. So, characters come and characters go, and favourites come and go. I mean, the interesting thing is, for instance, Harold's been a perennial favourite on Neighbours, and it's beautiful at the moment that, of course, he's coming back into the new Neighbours as well. So characters often return.
And I was trying to think who was in it in 1994 when you were first in it, because Paul Robinson obviously was, Madge and Harold, played by Anne Charleston, of course. He was in Basingstoke in Panto about 20 years ago, I think. And yes. Lou Carpenter and all those big characters. Neighbours was really big at back in 94. And also, in 1987, when you were first in it, that was just before when it really got big, when it really took off, wasn't it? Did you foresee that coming?
No, I didn't. When I was working on the show in 1987, it was a 3-week guest part, and I had absolutely no concept of how big Neighbours was becoming in the UK. I was working with Kylie Minogue. She was just about to release her single Locomotion, and she was very excited about that. But, of course, no one knew that it would end up, leading to a global phenomenon. So, very interesting times. They actually asked me if I'd like to be Greg Cooper on Neighbours for an entire year and take a year's contract, but I declined, choosing to work in the theatre instead. Goodness, what would have happened to me, Neil, if I'd been Greg Cooper?
Yeah,
maybe I'd be recording songs with Stock Aitken Waterman or whatever. I don't know.
They could bring Greg Cooper back, and you could do a scene with yourself.
That's right. It'd be marvellous. Our mutual friend Matthew Rollins, who is on Hospital Radio Reading, and myself, we're having a discussion the other day about whether you ever were in there at the same time as Bouncer the dog. Were you there at Bouncer? Was it just after was that just before your time? I believe Bouncer actually was before my time. Yes, I believe so. But certainly in 1994, Bouncer wasn't there, but he may have been there in 1987. I'm not completely sure. But I can't remember ever meeting Bouncer, which makes me a bit sad because he's an iconic dog. But that's okay, because we've got a wonderful dog in the new Neighbours now called Trevor that everybody loves.
Yeah, everyone remembers Bouncer though. The dream scene, don't they? That's one of the classic.
The dream sequence was classic. That was one of the great scenes, and it just showed how inventive our writers could be.
And of course, we said that you're the third longest serving actor in an Australian soap. I'm guessing that Jackie Woodburn, who plays Susan, is also joint third, because she joined at the same time, didn't she?
Well, that's an interesting point of contention, Neil. Because I actually started on Neighbours 1 week earlier than Jackie.
Ah, right.
So technically, I have served longer than she has. And, of course, no one will ever touch Alf Garnett. Not Alf Garnett, beautiful Alf in Home and Away. I can't think of Alf's surname. But, the Alpha's been there for the entire time on Home and Away. And Lynn McGranger is also, I think, the second longest serving soap actor in Australia.
Yeah, Ray Meir in Home and Away, who was
Ray Meir,
who has also been in Basingstoke in Panto as well.
Yes, he's done many pantos over the years. Not anymore, I believe.
Yes, and Tom Oliver, who played Lou Carpenter, comes from quite near Basingstoke in Fareham, I think, which is not that near Basingstoke, but south of England.
Yes, Hampshire, I think.
Yes. So yeah, there's a lot of connection between Neighbours and England, isn't there, and the UK?
Very much so. Because so many Neighbours actors have done panto in the UK. I myself, I think, have done 6 or 7 of them. I used to love going over and doing panto. It was such a wonderful time, meeting so many wonderful actors, and they're all friends for life. So, I have a very strong connection to the UK. I go, well, apart from COVID, which obviously interrupted my trips to the UK, I try to go at least once a year. Sometimes I come twice. Next year I'll be back again for a big tour in July. It is my second home, and I'm absolutely thrilled to get there anytime I can.
Brilliant. Have you been to see that? There's a Neighbours exhibition. There's mock studio setup, isn't there, somewhere? Have I read about? Have you been to see that?
Yes, I was actually there when they opened it back a few months ago, and I don't know if it's still running. I think it might have been just a very short-term pop-up, but it was fantastic. They built a replica of Harold's store and a few other sets, and fans got an opportunity to see some of the costumes and all sorts of things. It was very exciting.
And how is Neighbours going now? Because of course it got resurrected back in September, and it's still going strong.
Well, it is. It
refuses to die.
Yes, but Amazon recognised that in fact Neighbours was only cancelled not because it wasn't popular. It was cancelled because Channel 5 made a decision they wanted to spend the money on British programs, which is fair enough. But the thing is that the outrage that followed that and the disappointment was recognised by Amazon, and they stepped in and said this show is too popular to die and brought it back. So now, of course, in the UK, Neighbours is on most occasions number 1 on the Amazon Freevee app. So it remains the most popular program they've got.
Brilliant. Yeah. Is it the only soap that's been resurrected twice, having been axed twice? I'm trying to think of any other soap that's been axed twice.
I don't know. I'd be going out on a limb if I said yes, but I would suspect, quite seriously suspect that it is the only show that's ever been resurrected twice.
Where you filmed the outside Neighbours, were they all welcoming back to you when you came back?
In the street itself, you mean?
Yeah. Yes, in the real street.
Well, yes, very much so. We've always enjoyed a very, very good relationship with the people in the street. And in fact, the people who live in my house, 28 Ramsay Street, are a couple of Brits, and I get on with them very, very well. Although there's a slight bone of contention because Miles, who lives in my house, is an Everton supporter, and I'm a Liverpool supporter. So there's a bit of contention there.